Okay, so this webinar is going to look at the recent developments that we have added to iASEND. A couple of them are just tweaks or additions to pages, and then actually this morning there is a brand new data entry feature that has gone live, so we will have a little look at that as well. So the first thing that we're going to look at is the tweaks, and then we'll look at the big new change. So the majority of the tweaks are around the way that we can view English within the system. So previously, English was only able to be viewed as a whole subject. And we've done some work around this to allow you to see the breakdown of reading, writing, speaking, listening. So the pages that this affect are the pupil report. So as usual, I'm going to select 2 points in time. So I'm going to go for a whole academic year. I'm going to come to stages and I'm going to select pupil. Now, previously, for English, I just had the overall English breakdown. Now you can see below this, we've got the breakdown for reading, writing, speaking and listening as well. So you can see those percentage of progress figures for each of those subjects, as well as your overall combined English. And that's the same depending on whichever drop down you select. But my recommendation would always be using that stages. And obviously the reading, writing, speaking and listening will reflect whatever curriculum the pupil is set up for English. So that's your first page that we've made the tweaks to allow the English breakdown. The next 2 pages are the progress and attainment report. So we'll go to attainment report first. Obviously, because we're looking at attainment, we're just looking at one period of time. So I'm just going to go to end of year. And obviously the components for English only come in from the S curriculum and above, which is why we can't see them here. If I go to the S curriculum and press go, you'll now see that we have some additional options. So the first tab is attainment, and that's going to show you your combined percentage for speaking and listening, and then reading, writing separate, and then overall English on the far end. And then we've got some tabs to look at different elements of that. So if I want to come to speaking and listening, I can then see speaking and listening separately and then them combined in the overall. Same with reading. I can see the individual components of word and comprehension and reading overall. And again, with writing, each of the individual components and then the overall figure. And then if I want to look at all of the individual components together, then I can do so on the all tab. It will show me each individual one. You can export this to Excel. So if you want to take it out of the system, that option is there. The other thing that we now have on this page is if I hover over, you get that little pop-up, and what that is showing you is how many points out of the total points the pupil has achieved. So that's data that we see on the pupil report. So we can see that 54% is 95 points out of a total of 175 available. So that was just a new little feature that we've added to this page as well. Another slight change, as you'll see on the majority of analysis pages now, you've got this little pop-up on the right-hand side that says show curriculum and progress key. So this just allows you to see which curriculum the letters are referring to and the suggested yearly progress. Previously, the curriculum key only existed on pupil curriculums and the progress key was only on pupil report. And now we can see both of those on the majority of our analysis pages. So we've also got this breakdown now in progress report. So obviously, because we're looking at progress, now I need to select 2 points in time. If I come to English and again select anything higher than S or above, I've got those same options at the top. So I can see progress in each of the areas and English overall, or in each of the individual areas. Again, I've got the colour coding that I've always had, green being positive, red being negative. Again, if I hover over, excuse me, this is showing me the points achieved out of the total points available for reading. When I come into the individual areas, so if we look at reading, for example, here, when I hover over, it's going to show me the 2 percentages. So the percentage of attainment at whatever I've selected as the first, and the percentage of attainment in the second. So it's allowing you to see kind of that attainment alongside the progress at this point as well. So that's 3 pages that we've now got additional breakdowns for English. Now, all of these little pop-ups and things exist in all of the other subjects as well, but there's no other tweaks in that sense. The big changes have been to the addition of the English breakdowns. We've also made some tweaks to your dashboard, so the individual subject dashboard and the combined overview dashboard. And the changes that have been made here, still all the same selections at the top. I can still use the drop downs to select the different progress that I'm expecting pupils to be making. I'm just putting in our progress key there, 5, 7, 10, 12, 15. And then you've also got the pop-up that shows you your standard. So when we're looking at progress on these dashboards, when we're talking about within, above plus, and below double negative, and this is the parameters that you're looking at. So based on those targets that you're setting, this is how far off those targets pupils need to be working to hit those different bands. The big change that we've got here is you'll see now within the table view, you've now got some little icons. So we've got little people icons and we've got a data icon. What this will do, if I select this, is it's going to show me a pop-up on the right-hand side, and it's going to actually start to show me who these pupils are that are making up these different percentages. So whereas previously, if I wanted to know who that 50% was, I'd have to go back to the progress or the pupil report and start hunting around. Now, really easily, if I click at the top, it's going to show me all curriculums, and I can see the colour coding down the left. These figures that are showing here are the difference from target. So this plus 3% means that the pupil has made 3% more progress than expected, and the -4 is 4% less progress than expected. And you can see that there for each of the areas. You can print this panel, it'll open it up and an additional little tab for you. So if you want to take the data out of the system, that option's there as well. And you can actually just click on any of the individual cells as well. Just reload my page, it's having a little moment. There we go, let's close that. So if I want to see who that 50% is, just that 50%, not everything, I can click on that percentage and it's going to show me just who that pupil is. Similarly, if I just want to see the A curriculum, I can do so. Clicking on the data tab is going to organise the pupil based on data. Clicking on the pupil up or the pupil down is going to organise it by pupil name, either obviously ascending or descending, depending on which option I select. And those same options are also available on that combined dashboard as well. So, if I want to see who's significantly overachieving in English, I can do so. And again, it's going to pop up, show me who those pupils are, show me what curriculum those pupils are working on. And again, that difference from the expected progress on that right-hand pop-up. So they're the big changes that we have made in terms of tweaking pages. So we've got the English addition to pupil attainment and progress. We've got the pop-up addition to the dashboards. Now today, the big data entry change that has gone live is iASEND, what we're calling iASEND Lite. And this is an option to enter data in a slightly different way. So if I select a pupil here, let's go to English. This has been turned on and enabled on all accounts as default. You can turn it off by coming into preferences and disabling light mode, but we have turned it on as default for all schools. So what you'll see now is everything else looks the same. We're selecting our assessment point, our subject. When I'm now selecting a component, I have my usual data entry, so I can come into my individual components. Or you will now see at the top of the page, there is an option to click on each of the curriculums individually. So I can click on the S statements. And now what this is going to do, if this pupil is assigned the S curriculum, and this is where I want to assess, rather than having to come out each time and go into each of the individual components, I can click S curriculum and all of those components are going to appear alongside each other. So everything that pupil is working on will appear on this one page. It then means that if I want to print this data to use as kind of like ongoing curriculum, it's going to show me just those areas that the pupil is working on. It also allows easier flood filling. So if I want to use the system in kind of a one-click fashion, so rather than going really granular in terms of using each of the assessment points for each objective, I can, at the click of a button, assess the whole subject at an emerging level or the whole subject at a developing level. And you'll see that that has moved all of those objectives for me in that sense. I could also do the same thing now for each of the elements. So, maybe for reading comprehension, they're shallow, but for word reading, they're developing. So it allows you to kind of use that idea of flood filling categories. But you do still also have the option of clicking individually. But again, rather than having to bounce into each of the components, all I simply need to do is keep scrolling, and I've got the whole curriculum and kind of within one selection, rather than having to go into each of those individual elements. And I've still got the access, if I want to go to higher curriculums or lower curriculums, to see where the pupils come from or what comes next. But it just allows a little more streamlined data entry, and then having to jump between each of those components.